I believe Deadrising is still one of the best games I've ever played. I'm talking about the first one, the first game of this series. I remember this game came out like as one of the exclusives maybe for the Xbox 360. It was like one of the first games that was coming out for the system, right? And so me and my brother, we were so interested in this game when it came out for the Xbox 360. And this is like a time that I wasn't really paying attention to like many video games like this. I just knew that this game, it was a zombie game, and it had to do just being at the mall, stuck with these zombies. There was this one particular movie I watched. It's called Dawn of the Dead. You guys may know it by now, but that movie is really scary. It's like too scary. I remember watching it probably when I was like 11 or 12. That's what got me interested in the video game, in the Deadrising game, because they had the same concept. They were a group of survivors stuck in a mall with zombies. And so I think my brother or my mom, I don't know who got the game, but I just know that we got the game, okay? We got the game for the Xbox 360, and I was so amazed with the graphics. It was unreal for me at the time. Probably I was like 10 or 11 years old. You get to know this character. His name is Frank West. He's the photojournalist that's looking for a story. He takes these photos with his camera. His mission is to find out the true story of what's going on in this small town. And so the part where he wanted to investigate was the Willamette Mall. That's where this whole game takes place, in the Willamette Mall. A man who was driving the helicopter to pick him up in 72 hours, which means in 3 days. So he had 3 days to figure out what's going on in this small town by searching through the mall. But Frank West is not just any photojournalist. He's a guy that truly pushes people to look for a story. In this game, there's a couple of endings. Some of them could be good endings, and some of them could be very bad endings. For example, there's this part where he saves people, where he saves all the people, but he doesn't really care about the story. That's my first ending I actually got for this game. It was ending B, I think. It wasn't the true ending, because I knew there was something in particular that was missing. There weren't many cutscenes at the end, and like it just seems too simple, you know? That was my ending that I chose. Like instead of going after the story, I went and saved any survivor that I could. The bad thing about this game is that if you don't save your game, you could lose all the progress that you have saved, and you might have to start the game all over, depending on where you last saved the game. I didn't finish the game when I was like 10 or 11 years old, because I was scared of this game. Just like how I was scared of Dawn of the Dead and didn't finish it, I didn't finish this game as well until 3 years later, 2 or 3 years later. But I did finish the game though. The thing that really scared me was not the zombies. It was the psychopaths that you fight against in this game. And the very first psychopath that you meet in this game was the clown named Adam. Yeah, he was the one that scared me the most, because at the time I was scared of clowns. Once the cutscene finished of him introducing himself, that's when I immediately turned off the system. I remember, man, I remember this particular part. I just turned off the system and I just didn't play the game until a week later. I tried to take him down, but he was difficult. He was a very hard character to beat. And since he was the very first psychopath in the game, I think he had like all the advantages. He had the best weapons, he was fast, and yeah. Like if you use like a sledgehammer on him and he blocks you, that weapon is destroyed. There was just no way to kill this clown. One particular move that Adam the Clown had in the game was that he can make explosive balloons, right? And so once the balloons were coming towards you, I used one of the guns, I shot them, and that immediately made Adam dizzy. And then that's when I noticed that it was time to actually take him down. So I used one of the sledgehammers that I got in my stock of the weapons I got in the game. And then that's when I thought that was a good strategy to use, the sledgehammer. The sledgehammer or the chainsaw. The huge chainsaw, not the one that Adam has in the game. The best weapon, I think, in the game was the sledgehammer or the small chainsaw that Adam has. I mostly used the sledgehammer against him. And that was my strategy this whole time to beat him. But I just tried to dodge him at all costs. He was very difficult and scary at the same time. And then while you were trying to take him down, the lights immediately turned off in the game. The lights immediately turned off in the mall. And it was all dark and stuff. There was like a huge light beam coming towards Frank West. And then that was like the only way that you could see around you. And you could see the glowing eyes on the zombies around you as well. That's what made the game even more scarier. But yeah, like I said, I couldn't beat him in the first like 4 to 5 tries. It's more like 7 to 8 tries, guys. It's like more than 7 to 8 tries. This clown was too difficult to take out. And then that's when I thought to put this game down. It was like too difficult to beat him. I really did enjoy this game growing up. Like the story was so captivating to me. There was this group of survivors trying to survive, and you were the journalist that was trying to find the true story of what's going on in the Willamette Mall. And then once you get close to the ending of the game, well, Frank was going to leave the Willamette Mall, right? But then the helicopter driver didn't notice that inside the helicopter there was already a zombie inside, and he crashed the helicopter before he could pick up Frank West. He died, and that's when Frank West, he lost hope that he wasn't going to get the story to the world and that he was going to die. In overtime mode, Isabella took Frank West to her hideout. That's when you immediately find out that Frank West was going to die because he was already bitten by one of the zombies. He had less than 12 hours to survive before he turned into a zombie. So they needed to find a cure. And that's what mostly overtime mode was about, to find a cure for him. And so they found the cure using these mosquitoes, these types of animals called the queens. They called them in the game. With these set of queens, they can make a vaccine. And this vaccine, it plays a huge role for the next game on Deadrising 2. It doesn't fully cure the person who was bitten. It cures the person for an amount of time. The military was one of the main reasons why this whole outbreak started. The military played a huge role in the first game because they were the cause of how the zombie outbreak started. The final boss for this game, it was a military guy named Brad, I think. I kind of forgot his name. Brad was the one who told Frank West that they were doing government experiments on people in Santa Cabeza, which was a place where Isabella and Carlito were born. They were doing these experiments on people, and then the outbreak started there, and then it just ended up in Wyoming. Since the government was a part of the reason why this outbreak started, it was time for Frank West to go and tell the truth to the world. The only person that was stopping him was Brad, which was the leader of the military group, supposedly in this game. And so in the last final boss battle, you face to face Brad in a huge tank, and there were zombies around him. And like, I was so excited for this fight. It was so cool. There were zombies around you, and you had to take this guy down on top of a tank, which was so awesome for me. I was like 14 or 15 at the time. And like, once you beat this guy, you were so excited, man. You were so relieved that you beat him. It took me about 2 to 3 times to beat him. Like, the only move that you really had was to kick him. You couldn't use any of your weapons at all. But you were so relieved that he was gone, and now you beat him. That's when the game actually finished. Frank was stuck in the tank, and zombies were around him. Isabella was on top of the car that we're driving. And then that's how the game ended, in a cliffhanger. At the ending, it said that the Frank West did escape the mall. And then that's how the second game started. This is why I love the game, man. It was so awesome. It was something brand new. This is like one of the first games I actually paid close attention to the storyline. I fell in love with the game and the gameplay. and I felt the story was captivating. This is one of my favorite games of all time. My top 3 at least. If y'all watched my last video, I said The Last of Us was one of my favorite games of all time as well. And now you know that Deadrising is one of my favorite games of all time too. It's a really awesome game. And if they make a remake for this game, it'll be so awesome in the near future. Hopefully. Maybe if they make more games. But I was so glad to revisit this game on the PS4 that it was available for another system, not just only for the Xbox 360. Because my Xbox 360 just stopped working, I decided to get this game on the PS4 as well. But this time the graphics, they look the same, but the frames for this game, it looks so different. It was 60 frames per second. They move so smoother. And I was so excited to play this game again. I have beaten this game at least 3 times already, and I might revisit it again in a few more years. Maybe once say, I don't know, probably 26, 25. Alright guys, that is it for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and stayed all the way through. As always guys, live to the fullest.